All right, another part of my whole rebuild job is I actually am going to be doing brakes, stainless steel brake lines, DBA, 4K, rotors, Hawk 5.0 pads. Right now I'm just pulling the cal, and actually I'm going to paint this stuff as well, the calipers. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pull the calipers off so I can get the rotor off, which then will let me knock out those spot welds on the dust shield, remove that so I can get to the bushing for the trailing arm. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but let's find that right now. And it's 14 millimeter on the mount bolts for the caliper. I believe I can then just remove those two and lift out the whole assembly, but I do actually want to take off the caliper from the caliper mount, and so I can get the, eventually I'm going to paint these. I'm going to pull these off, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those in the mount. All right, I have the two caliper bolts out, and I can just pop this caliper out. It's pretty dirty and pretty small, since this is a peasant WRX, as they say. So now I just have the pads, which you can slide out, out the front like that, which just have plenty of life on them, but I'm refreshing everything, so off goes the pad. There we go, second pad, and you can see my surface rusted rotors because my car has been sitting here for about a week now as I work on this damn suspension. The mount bolts up here, which is also 14 millimeter. All right, I had to bust out the old pneumatic, this bad boy, and broke these out pretty quick, so that's good. So here's the caliper mount bolts. Don't lose these. All right, we have the rotor here. The other one would not come out. So what you need to do is you put two screws into these two holes here, and then you can torque them down a little bit, and it'll pop this whole rotor thing from the hub, and then it should come off. So I'm gonna go ahead and find those two screws. I'm not sure the sizes. I found a pile of junk screws, and I kept trying them until they fit. All right, I got these two junk screws, and they just have to thread in here. I thought this one did. They're threaded differently between each other. So I found two. All right. You kind of want to hold it, and you want to do them evenly. The crappiest ratchets in the world here. And another big thing is you want the parking brake off, otherwise it'll be clamping on the inside of the hub, and you will not be getting this off easily at all. And I can hear him coming loose. There it goes. And they're off. And you know what I say? It does apply the force here, so it'll mark them up a little bit, but nothing significant. But as you can see, the parking brake here had to be pushed out. And you want to go ahead and pull those screws out if you plan on keeping them for the other rotors. So, big thing, reason I'm taking all this apart, I'm doing the brakes, but for right now, I'm punching out this dust shield. And there's spot welds around this perimeter, so what you want to do is get a chisel or something. I have a crappy one because I'm getting ready to do my floors. I just use this. I'm gonna wedge it in there, hit it with a hammer, work your way around and make sure you don't mar this part of the hub. don't mar into the other stuff, don't punch through and break a wire or a cable or something. But you can push it through and then eventually shear off this dust shield if that's your plan. I mean, you may be able to get that bushing off without doing that by taking the whole hub off, dropping the axle and other stuff, which I decided not to do. So I decided to get rid of the dust shield, and it may end up helping me cool my brakes down a little bit better as well. I don't know, but I'm sure it'll be dirtier for my wheels, but sacrifices must be made. All right, I'm punching out this dust shield still, just using this floor chisel I got actually for doing my flooring. And pretty much, if you can see here, spot welds. They're not that many going around the dust shield. Just want to make sure when you hit these out, you don't damage the hub or this part of it. And you just knock them out, work your way down until you get to the end. And then actually I sheared it off here and here on both, on the other side. And then I just left this little bit here that's pressed on there. This one looked like it was more paint. I just filed down the little jagged edges once it broke off. All right, almost got this thing off. As you can see, I cut it up here. I'll file this down. A couple more spot welds to knock out. This one isn't coming off quite as clean as the last one, but it'd probably be easier if I had a better hammer. I'm just using a regular nail claw hammer type deal. So it's been going kind of slow. All right, it's off. And you gotta see, some of them are kind of jagged back there, but I'll get a metal file on there, smooth them out. All right, got the caliper off, 12mm bolt. I clamped off the line. I am switching to stainless lines, so I'm not really worried about damaging these old lines. It's not really leaking, so I think I'm good to pull the other one off if I clamp that one off. I'll drain out the caliper and then clean these up and start painting. I'm not gonna cover the whole painting process. I plan on just putting a coat of primer, and then I'll do a couple coats of black, maybe 2 coats of clear, something like that. I just want them to blend in a little bit better behind the matte bronze wheels. But I'll be doing the stainless lines as well. I have to find a flange, wrench, and then you pretty much just have to yank out this clip here, put the wrench back here, and unbolts. This will disconnect from here. You slide it out, you put the stainless line in. All right, have the calipers off both sides. I finally bagged and zip-locked them. They weren't really dripping since I have everything clamped. Probably the lines are probably destroyed, but I'm putting stainless in, so it doesn't really matter. Cleaned up the brake calipers as best as I could. Just used some brake cleaner, then I put some gook on, scrubbed it off, sanded it a little bit, put some of the VHT wax and brake dust cleaner shindiggity. Just hit it with one real quick pass primer coat on here. I'm probably just gonna put 2 on the top, 1-ish, maybe 2 on the bottom, 30 minutes between coats. And then I'm gonna hit it with a couple coats of black and then maybe a couple coats of clear. I don't need a pro job, just something that looks better than the shit silver with rust. So I'm gonna hit it with another coat tonight and finish it up tomorrow probably. All right, I have the rear brackets, calipers painted. Not a pro job by any means, but 2 coats or so of black and 2 light coats and then a wet coat of clear. So it's not amazing. Most people are doing yard work, of course, right when I'm trying to paint. All right, gonna swap out these seal lines and get the caliper in place on the back. The front's leaking because I only have 2 sets of these to lock off the line, and they're dripping pretty good, so I want to get these grips moved over to the front while I work on the front end, and I'll just get the stainless lines and calipers in place and knock that out. I'm gonna pull this clip out. Then you want to get your flared wrench, 10mm I believe, to get the nut off and remove the line. So go ahead and knock that out real quick. All right, trying to get this clip out here. If you have the StopTech ones, the rears are 950-47507. Part number. So what kind of funky coating out here. Put this out. There's a 10mm. Whole thing's turning. Alright, I was able to break it free. Had to put the clip partially back in, and then use this flared wrench to wrench this out. It's pretty freaking gross. It's dripping out here. I'm gonna pull the clip back out. And there's the line. Alright, it's dripping out pretty good. I'm gonna get this situated through this piece here, and then screw the stock line into the stainless line. Wipe up any of the debris. Grip's pretty good. 10mm flare nut driver thing. It looks like my paint job is just peeling off, so I don't know. I'm just gonna have some gunked up looking shit paint calipers, I guess, because I'm tired of messing with it. Maybe I'll just order some new calipers and get them powder coated for a few bucks. That's moving. The kit provides you a new clip. Guess it goes in place the same way, maybe. Alright, clip is on. Line is pretty secured. Wipe up the huge mess that you make if you make one. And torque them up pretty good. There you go. Alright, I got my poorly painted calipers that are already flaking apart. Hopefully just a temporary solution. Maybe I'll just order a new set of calipers and have them powder coated. Even though they're not Brembos, with this brake setup I'm putting in, this just be good enough for me. I'm not a track star or anything. But I already have it zip tied in place. You want the drain at the top. And then I already connected the stainless line into the caliper. Have it situated right here. And what you need to do is loosen the brake line nut here, which is a 10mm. I would recommend using one of these fancy flare wrenches so you don't strip it, which I heard things. So you just pretty much put it in here, and you gotta clean off some of this gunk on here. Once you loosen it a little bit, we'll pull this clip out, get some screwdriver or some pliers on there, yank that out, loosen this the rest way and get ready because it's going to start dripping, and then go ahead and plug in the steel line as quick as you can. It's going to go through like this. This nut is going to be against the thing, and then you're going to put this the stock line back into here and use a flared wrench to tighten it down. You don't have to get it real tight, just enough so you can get this new replacement clip, and then you're going to wedge this in to lock it in place. Then you can go ahead and finish tightening this up, otherwise it'll start spinning this part. You have to be pretty quick about it. I'm not going to record it, but I'll snap back once I'm finished. Alright, stainless steel line is on. The new snap is in place. I don't have this hooked up or anything like that. Caliper is just kind of dangling until I go ahead and get ready to put the rotors and pads on. I don't want to do that until I'm done with my rest of my suspension stuff, because I want these just sitting out here unbedded and getting rained on for who knows how long until I finish everything else. So I just want to get these stainless lines and calipers on so I can steal the vice grips and use them on my front lines so they don't leak anymore, hopefully. Alright, I'm at the rear hub assembly. I have my DBA 4K rotors, my painted bracket, which my paint job for the rear was not good at all. It just chips off pretty damn easy. So I don't know if it's because I used not a caliper primer, I used a high temp primer. I don't know if that's causing issues with the paint bonding. I didn't really sand anything either, so I'm sure that didn't help. The front seemed a little bit better, so I just gotta be careful putting this on, and hopefully it does treat somewhat when I do get to bed in the brake pads to the rotors. Anyways, you want to clean off this mating surface. I kind of brush the bolts a little bit. Parking brake has to be off. You don't want this to be pushing out. And then you just pretty much slide this rotor on, and then get a couple lug nuts, tighten it down just a little bit so you can then attach the bracket and everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rotor on real quick. All right, I have the mounting bracket here. Make sure you have the brake pad clips, and these actually mount up like this, but make sure you put a little bit of high temp brake grease on here to hopefully get rid of some of the brake noise. Don't need to put a ton, but you definitely want this grease in here to help with the sound when you're braking. Probably should be wearing gloves and all that stuff, so definitely do that. And I gotta be super careful with this because my paint job is borderline crap, but still slightly better than rusty silver. So not really going into full detail on a lot of this stuff because a lot of this stuff has been done a million times. All right, then you're gonna snap everything into position. It should just relatively easily just clip in like that. And then when you install the brakes, They'll come in from the top and the front and the back. And I'd recommend cleaning these clips off to some degree. They don't have to be immaculate, but I clean mine off just to be safe. All right. And then we're gonna mount that to the 2 hub bracket bolts right here. And you should have 4 bolts each side. These ones will be torqued to 50 pounds in the rear, and these are the actual caliper bolts to the bracket, and these are torqued to 20 pounds. And the bracket fits between the hub and the rotor, so not behind it, if you get confused on all that. Sorry for the bad footage. It's like 95 degrees out and so much glare I cannot see what's going on with the screen. Alright. They're 14mm bolts. And I'll go ahead and, it's actually 49 pounds, but I will just round it to 50. I get my torque wrench in here. Go. All right, got 50. And now you want to maneuver caliper. Of course, the paints for mine is tipped off a little bit, but what you want to do is you want to push this in a little bit, and I can't quite do it by hand, so I got a pair stripped here. I don't want to mar up the paint even worse. All right, I think let's put a towel on it or something. Since these were completely disconnected and drained, it should open up pretty easily. Yeah, see? And hope it didn't mar it up too bad. I mean, the paint's just falling off by breathing on it. And you want to maneuver it around. And I like to put it on without the brake pads. And put the top bolt in. You can kind of just swing it up. Alright, now we're going to get the pads. I believe the passenger side has on the Hawk HPS 5.0 pads have these clips on them. On both of these pads. Of course, you want it to go with the curve. And you're going to come in and just slide in. Make sure you put some more brake grease on this. And what I've been doing is just kind of going where it actually touches the clip. So this will help. And not too thick. And so this is the front facing portion. And it should slide in there. You can kind of push it against the rotor. It'll expand out as you're going. I'll do the other one up. Make sure you don't get any brake grease on the brakes pads themselves, otherwise you're going to have loss of performance, and if it's a lot, no performance. Alright, this one's going to come from the back. And they're on there. Now we can swing down the caliper, which should clear over it. Push the bolts in if they're sticking out any. The bottom. Thread the bottom bolt in. Hoping you don't scratch up your caliper even more than it already is. Alright, have tighten these up. Thought I had an issue, but I double checked. Bleeder disc on the top. Was worried there for a minute. And really only 20 pounds on these. And you can use a 17mm to hold this bolt nut inside. .14mm, 17mm. you go. Also, don't forget, you want the brake line mount. You slide it down a little bit and you have a bolt here. The best way to tell that you know you have this bolt is it looks just like this. The caliper bolts look very similar, but they don't thread all the way near to the end. I think they stop up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mounted up. All right, after the rear is done, don't forget to put the inspection cover back in place. All right, rear brakes are on, torque down. Brake line is connected to 12mm bolt to lock that in. I don't know the torque spec, I can just tight. Don't forget the inspection cover. Comes from the old rotor, you just pop it in. I guess it's to inspect your rear parking brake and make adjustments to its clamping force. So, all right, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the front. All right, these are the rear brakes. Something I changed up since I recorded it a couple days ago. For the rear brake pads, one of each side pad has a little clip that sticks straight out. Initially I had both on this side and I realized that's probably not right. So I rearranged it so the clip, you may be able to see it back there. It's a little protruding piece of metal tab. I moved it to the back side of the rotor on the bottom on both sides, because before it was kind of rubbing on my poorly painted caliper mount. So I moved both of them on the back side, or the inside of each rotor as my setup. So thinking that's probably more correct. So just giving a quick heads up on that.